on our platform, we have a 24-hour, 7 days a week, programmable TV, internet TV. So we take our current podcast that we have, our original podcast that we have, and the program we have, Chris, it basically pulls it like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yep, what's going on? Welcome back to the Mastermind Thinks podcast. We're super excited today. This is crazy. Like, I guess today, this is the first time that we've talked on the record to just us. We do a morning show together, and we got a bunch of other stuff that we talk on the back end. But so I'm super excited to have him on the show. My man Jon Shoats. Jon, what's going on, man? How you feeling today?
What's up, Mastermind? Listen, that is funny. We have talked a whole year about everything but us.
Yeah.
And where we really connect and where we naturally connected and always have had an energy is that everybody, sees us. You get with Jon, you get with Chris, you get with Jon, and we just do that. And then we off to back doing what we doing. And so I'm excited. You like, yo, you got a hard stop? No, dog, we can go. We can go. And I'm ready to go. And I'm excited about wherever you want to go. Let's go, man.
Let's go. Let's get it started, man. For the people, the people, we got different kind of viewers and listeners all over. So, tell them real quick who you are, what you do, what you got going on currently.
Gotcha. So my name is Jon Shoats. Some people put the M in there. I do it just to be different. Jon Shoats. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I am in the production world, law production world. That's where my love and theater and background, all that kind of encompass to what I'm doing now. Chris, here's the amazing thing is that now I get the opportunity to work in this media space. So I started out just wanting to be on radio because people are like, yo, your voice is different. You might need to do video. I've been raspy all my life, so you can make your mark. And when you talk, you add jokes in and you're entertaining. So I met up with my business partner, James Green, and I was like, yo, I want to learn about radio. And he took me in and I just started watching and learning. And I tried it one day and I was like, Chris, yo, I like this. Like, I get to talk. Talk about topics that I like. So I've been in the radio space the past 7-8 years. I've been in this streaming production space the past pandemic years. That's where I'm going to start now. You know how they used to have the industrial age or stone age? Yeah. I'm sure they're going to call it the pandemic year. So in the pandemic time, I really wanted to hone in an area that will be, I'm going to be honest, Chris, as less work as possible, bro. I'm like, how can I make some coins doing what I like to do, helping and adding value to people, but not take up all my time? Because you and I have this history of, I travel on the road with Shaquille O'Neal, the comedy all-star. So every NBA all-star game from 2011 to 2015, I was at the arenas helping them. Well, my boy was the set designer, so he did all the set for the actual comedy show. I was responsible at that time, Chris, for the sponsorship, fulfillment, or execution. So Hennessy was our one of our sponsors, and Gentleman Jack just came out. Just came out. So anything dealing with the sponsors for the comedy show, I was responsible for that sponsor room. And so I was there to engage the sponsors, make sure they were good. But by being on the road and my love of the production, I would hang out backstage with guys like you. Sitting at that master board in front of the house, I understand a monitor world on the backstage and actually hearing shows being called, Chris, it intrigued me. And so all those years, I would just, after I do my part, I would just sit at the show, either in front of the house or monitor world, and just see what y'all doing. Just, if not anything, learn the language. So if I ever got in a position, I can still inform who may be using our services even though I'm not doing them, performing them. And so that's what I'm in. So I'm in the full service marketing, media, internet building, app building. And now I'm into helping people do podcasts. This is where we really balance and love each other. You was like, yo, man, like, so what part do you really like to do? And I was like, well, if I can send people to you that you can help them get ready and get polished, I really would love for you to do that, Chris, so we can then get their product, their content, and now they have a home to broadcast it. Because you and I talked about a lot of times, people are the pandemic years, people say, you need to create content. Okay, cool. Now that you've done that, now what do we do with it, Chris? Because now people got storage of content.
Yeah.
And where do we take them? So Chris said, man, well, let me polish them and let me send them to you. So you have a platform. So we in that platform and giving people platform offers the social. Now, we don't have a problem with social. We like YouTube and LinkedIn. But when those go down, where do people go? Where do they have a place to call home?
No.
I don't know, Chris, man. That's what I do, man. I'm in all things, but man, my niche is now helping those who have content have a place outside of the social platforms.
Look, that's so good because that's where we touch, right? Is because, again, like you said, for me, I'm the front end. Like, I want to do the back end production. I want to get you on the camera, show you how to get that started, produce it for you. We got the editors. But then one of the things that we connected on is because, and it was weird because when we connected, I was actually, right when I met you, I was actually working with another network at the time. And so we like really couldn't jump in yet because I was like, conflict of interest, like, yeah. And then so when that kind of ended, I hit you and I was like, look, what are you doing? Tell me what you're doing. And so touch a little bit on that because, like I said, I do the production side, but you do the distribution. And why is it important to have that off social distribution?
So this is why I believe that distribution is key, or even why this connection, this automatic connection is, so you'll try to do your Instagram or your Facebook or even YouTube. And YouTube we love. I mean, we love them. But we want the social platforms to be a lead-in back to your home base. These are two home bases that we always have people work on. Their own website, not to be looking pretty, but to be a tool and a network. And of course, I'm going to push our network, KBCN TV. We are here to really enhance your reach. So we're saying, so Chris, if you have 5,000, we believe we can get you to 15,000. Now, that may not sound dramatic or big enough, but it is big enough based on the industry we're in. They're no longer looking for these massive influencers. They're looking for people like you and I, Chris, the micro, macro influencers that have consistency to put people in a place of winning. And so on our platform, we have a 24-hour, 7 days a week, programmable TV, internet TV. So we take our current podcast that we have, our original podcast that we have, and the program we have, Chris, it basically pulls it like a jigsaw puzzle. And it programs it and puts it in time slots. Now, our network also has a live component. So, Chris, when your show comes on Mastermind, it can come on at Wednesdays at 8 o'clock p.m. That will oversee or override any programming when it's 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So it could be something pre-programmed, and as soon as 8 o'clock, it becomes live. And then after your show, it goes back to wherever the system will pull from you. Well, what we're doing is we're saying, let us have a place where you can call us home. Now we can help you. Here's where we tie again, Chris. Now this can help you have a place where you can begin to digitize and monetize your digital footprint, because you're not just saying, hey, I'm on YouTube. No, you're saying I'm on a network. I air this time every week. Mm-hmm. We reach this. You have other numbers, because we're going to take the numbers from all the other shows and to add that to your show to say why a sponsor should come or why a person may want to advertise with you. And we're showing you how that can become passive income because, Chris, with our network, we do revenue sharing. So when you come with your show, Chris, we're saying if you bring the sponsor, you get 80%, we get 20%. Because we're airing it. We just going to, and we're on all the major platforms, Spotify, all the audio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, all the other ones you know all those, all the RSS feeds. We're also video. We're also video capability or Roku, Apple. What's the other major one?
Oh, you got Amazon.
Yeah, and in 2 weeks we'll be adding Amazon Fire to it. So along with KBCN TV, along with your whatever your social platform you want to use. So it's not a taken away, it's both and, it's not either or. So Chris, when you get the monetization to have the true numbers where people can see you weekly, you're not lying, you're not fibbing, you're not trying to fudge your stats.
Yeah.
And it lives, and we create two worlds. You can be live, but it also creates, we have an on-demand feature.
Yeah.
For people who might have missed it, they could binge watch it. Now they ain't trying to search and type in how to meet DJ Mastermind, how to reach Mastermind, or how to reach Black Tie. They just go to your show, hit the on-demand, and they can start from season 1 on down. So that's the difference.
Man. That's so cool. And so it's something that because we talk about it all the time. And like, I kind of alluded to it before, but, for everybody watching, if you haven't seen, Monday through Friday, we're on Clubhouse and on KBCN doing a live show, bootstrapping a business and ministry. And so we're on there. And one of the cool things about that was, cause that's actually, that's kind of where we met, was in that circle of, people. And I think the coolest thing about it was, I pushed Coach to do the podcast. And then once we had pushed him off that ledge, you came in and was like, we need to go ahead and cut the video on, man. Like, what we doing? All we got to do is hit go.
What we doing?
The thing that I was going to ask you about is the importance of having somewhere for the people to go. Because I remember you said that you were like, we help people on their own website. We give them another platform. Why is that important away from, like when we talk about on Clubhouse, why we're trying to do that blueprint?
It's about, that's the only place, Chris, that you get the opportunity to change the culture because you get to control your own narrative. Mm-hmm. You have control. And like you, just like we are, we're not really interested in controlling people's content. We are interested in getting the content out. Yeah. Where some networks are, so I need you to do this, and then I need this. What I'm looking for is other diversity. I'm still looking for a sports show. I would love to have a sports show. I'm looking for a cooking show that I love to have. I'm looking for a comedy show that I think that we need to have on our network. So anybody out there, hit Mastermind. We would love to have that. See how we work on it. We do charge. It's affordable. Let me go back to the reason of having your own house.
Yeah.
You get to do what you want to do in your house, right? And so we are governed by our own FCC, right? And so we are Better Business Bureau. We're A+ certified. Yeah. But they're the decision makers, are you and I, Chris. When they talking to us, we making a decision. It ain't no let me talk to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the importance. When you drive them to your website, it allows people to be in your world. And it's easier for them to navigate and see all the other things you may be doing that you're interested in, and that may be added services to them. Off of social is a snapshot. Your website, we believe, is the best tool to help connect with your audience, connect with your client, connect with your potential collaborator to show the consistency of how you are evolving, how you are elevating, and how you decide how you want to strategically partner. Me going to your website is going to allow me to do more than me seeing you on a snapshot on a 30-minute or a short on YouTube. Because now I can dive in it. Hopefully I get lost in your page. And we have the capability of putting that same player on KBCN. We're not trying to hoard it. We'll put the same player on your website so people can binge on your. All right, Chris. So we do that for churches. Like we stream for churches. So they show it on our network, but we also put a player on there for their members who would never come to KBCN TV. So it helps grow the audience. And Chris, we are setting it up to be a win-win. We honestly are really trying to set up to be a win-win. For us, it gives us content because creating new content is very difficult when you have to keep creating. So it helps us. Secondly, it helps you to say that you have a place of credibility. We've been in this industry for 18 years. We have been in the internet industry for 14. So we're not new to the internet space. We were kind of new, some of the people that started. Our history in real broadcasting and filmmaking is we're degreed in the area. So we are really trying to give the full scope to say the reason why we're asking you to go to Black Tie Media and the really good, it's not that because we want you to be TV ready. Yeah. Not just audio ready. Yeah. I'm looking for people. People feel better when they see you. Yeah. So that's why it's important to have your own space. The socials can change it up. I know for Facebook when Facebook was the king, people were streaming services, Chris, and you get the service and not streaming and find out they changed the stream key. Yep. I can't tell you now why they did, other than because they wanted to. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, pandemic Easter 2020. All right, because it was March what happened. Pandemic Easter 2020. Yeah. When everybody's trying to do what everybody finally kind of figured out they need to stream for Easter. Yeah. And Facebook changed the stream key to almost everybody because Facebook was like, oh, we got something here. Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever people like getting jammed up with that?
Yo, I heard a whole bunch of people's streams going down because they look, it's last minute. Ain't nobody to call because ain't no number to Facebook. I don't know if y'all know that. Right. Ain't no number.
And if you didn't have a person like you or James or my team who knew where to even start troubleshooting, your service didn't go up today. Yeah. But if they had their website, hear what I'm saying. Then you still were able to tell people on Facebook, yo, redirect, we on our website. Yeah. And that's the importance of it, Chris.
Man, that's so good. Look, we done went to the current day. I done forgot. Tell people, how did you actually get started in this space? Because I did hear you say, trained in school and how did you get started in production and media?
I went to the School of Performing Arts. Boys and Men was there. I was one of those original members. I was a senior. Wanya, all them did their thing. But in there, I learned the theatrics, what it means to backdropping, creating scenes and lighting and props and staging and stage right, stage left, camera work, lines, teleprompter, all that placement and production land, script writing, commercial shooting, and those things. That's where my early onset of it. I took dance as a dance major, younger as an athlete because my coach suggested it. That Lynn Swann at the time, a prominent NFL retired wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was so balanced, was able to make these acrobatic catches because of his balance. Come to find out, he learned and got a center for ballet. So mine wasn't ballet. I was more in tap and jazz, but for that. And my love for sports, I'm coming there. But when I got to the performing arts and I started auditioning for the Cosby Show when it first came out, Chris. Wow. Different World when it came out. Couple of things off Broadway because I lived in Philadelphia. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so that was right up the road. they were training me in high school what they call, Chris, a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
So my main major or my main talent was singing or vocal. Mm-hmm. And at the school, they made you learn 2 other things. So I picked, of course, dance was my second segue because I had experienced that at some point. And then I went into acting because I thought those were the 3 things you needed to be a triple threat. And especially for the Broadway shows or the operas, you have to be able to, the Broadway shows, you got to be able to act, dance, and sing at some level. I got to college. I went to school on a music scholarship for singing and started touring. So now I'm in this HBCU, Morris Brown College in Atlanta, Georgia. Here comes the marching bands, Chris. Mm-hmm. Now, where I'm from, we didn't have marching bands. We had orchestras and ensembles and the concert bands. Because we didn't have, and the only marchers we saw was the Mummers Parade, where they were marching at the parade, and they were doing chorus style marching. They weren't doing HBCU marching.
You got to cross the Mason-Dixon, right?
All the way down there. So when I got to Morris Brown and this other level of musicality, I joined this fraternity called Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia. It's a professional music fraternity. And part of their thing is presenting music in a way through arts, playing, acting. So it just all tied in. All these music groups came through. Nene Leakes was there when I was there. Oh, wow. What's your boy, Silk?
Oh, wow.
I came through, Silk, all them. So that always intrigued me. I ended up becoming a manager for a couple singing groups. I'm a good singer. I'm not great. I'm a good background singer. I can hold the harmony. I can do all that. But as in leading, that wasn't my gifting. So I always end up on the business end, Chris, on this music thing. Yeah. Well, because of that, I used to have to be responsible for the staging and lighting and sound check before they went up as the manager. So I learned about tech riders and making sure that I got to you, because you would come to me and say, hey, man, you have your tech rider? Tech what? What? Yeah. And then I found out that a good tech rider has a stage plot. It has the instruments, the audio instrumentation. Are they in ear, out of ear? Do they on the stand? How many cymbals? How many toms? Like, is 3 keys? Is he playing tier? Who's the aux key? Who the main keys? I learned that from guys like you.
Yeah.
So now you see where I'm going. So then I got and went to a ministry called New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. And at the time, Bishop Eddie Long was the pastor. And, man, production, Chris, I didn't know I was going to learn full production in a church. But Bishop was the first, New Birth was the first church to have the electronic board.
Oh, yeah.
In the Southeast, he bought it. It was like $500K, the board. And that's when I started learning the difference between audio sound and streaming sound, Chris.
2 different worlds, man. 2 different worlds.
Right. So I learned about television. Jaffa Breelove he worked for Channel 11, which is WXIA here in Atlanta. Won some Emmys there. He came to work for the church. So he's shooting with news experience. So that's where I learned where photography and cameras had to tell a story.
Yeah.
And he taught me this thing, Chris, that all camera people have to find that light and catch that star. So, Chris, have you ever seen when you're camera people and before you call your shot, and they might be coming down when you shooting at your church, and then that light, and you might see that light, and it has the rays that it look like a star. He said all camera people have to find, as a camera op, have to find the star, but the director, you, and the caller, the shader and the colorer got to be able to see that.
Yeah.
And so I learned that because at my position at the church, I was over all conferences and events. Mm-hmm. And so I was responsible for choreographing the TV ministry, the AV ministry, the music ministry to put on a conference and event or watch night or any production. So I took it upon myself to learn each area so I could talk. I think you guys respect people, or at least try to learn your terminology.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you tell me, hey, we need to do a whole new lighting rate. Where? In the church? Yeah, we never did that. Well, you're the one that got Bishop's ear. You need to tell him we need a lighting rate. So I had to learn about what it means to do a truss and hang a truss and intelligent lighting that I never knew. And there's a lighting guy. So that's where I'm getting all my experience from, because I did that for 14 years.
Wow.
So we used to do service at the Georgia Dome every Easter. So I saw TV trucks being brought in and the stage being platformed up. And that's when I had to call Fred Hammond. They sent me a 15-page tech writer.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Because they got to have the B3 Hammond organ, Chris. Mm-hmm. Plus, at the time, it was the Roland D50, the DX7. Remember that?
Oh, man, that's crazy.
They had to have the Yamaha kit set, blue. Yep. Wait, blue.
blue. Had to be blue.
Blue pearl. With who was the symbol? My Zildjian.
Zildjian, yep. Oh,
in here. So all that, Chris. But anyway, man, so that's where I got my production love and experience. On the front of the house, I learned sales and marketing because I had to sell and promote the conferences.
Yeah.
So I learned how to work with merchandise with our church bookstore and what that looked like. I learned TV when Bishop used to come down and do his when the TBN, his show was called Taking Authority. I used to see how they used to read. So I didn't even know I was learning where I was going.
Yeah,
and
so
I didn't
good.
know they were promos. My kid's godmother wrote the script up. She was like, since you're now the director of events, you need to write the scripts for the commercial for us to shoot. So I used to write, hey, join us now for Spirit and Truth Live with Bishop Eddie Long, special guest, Creflo Dollar. You know, I started writing that stuff. I didn't know now, Chris, I would need that. So now as an executive producer, you and I now get in production, people come, I now can show them, here's an intro, here's an outro, here's a concept. I would have done none of that. Come on, Chris. Come on, man.
Oh, man. That's
how I got into it. Then I got picked up to get on the road because they like to take church boys and take us on the road, Chris, and expose us to that foolishness.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. I had a blast, though. Yeah. I had a blast. I miss it every now and then. I'll be seeing my boys breaking down those kits, man. They had to flip the stage. So when I go to a show, you and I talked about this. We go to shows, I'm looking like, you're laying on your cue.
Yep, you missed it. Where the spotlight?
Where the spot? Yo, I can't get. Where the cameraman? He ain't following him. I went to the Mary J's con. I was like, they gonna just keep us on wide all the whole thing. We ain't with no close up.
Oh man.
Or the lighting guy. But I get fascinated. Out of all the things, lighting is. I learned the board enough, but lighting is. I love the crossfades and the coloring and how lighting can save an event. If you can tell the story with it. Yeah. Oh man, that's so. I know. Good. I took that. Yeah, man. Look, I was having flashbacks, and man, a lot of people. Because it's funny. A lot of people. I feel like if you've never been in the church, never grew up in the church, or you was in the old school church, you didn't even realize when the church started innovating and getting on that side of it, like how much because that's, in my story, that's where I started learning digital boards and all that was at the church. And, man, that just takes it so much in that. That's like I'm lost because I'm like, there's so much in that story.
Yo, so what was the transition from? Because you said you were there 14 years, you did some road work. What brought you to like the KBCN side of like the production, that stuff, and now it's like, hey, you know what? I just want to sit back and help other people distribute.
So in my run for, in ministry full time, I wanted to go work at Praise 102.5 in Atlanta. At the time, that head DJ or personality at the time was Corey Country. He called himself the Cocoa Brother.
Okay.
Cocoa Brother in the space. I had done everything I could do in the ministry part as in production. I brought Jennifer Hudson to Easter right after she won the Oscar.
Wow.
Yes, the Oscar.
Yeah.
I bought her. I booked her for $55,000. You'll never $55,000.
Yeah.
I had Tone and Kirk Franklin and Marvin Sapp. All of them had done our watch night service or New Year's Eve service, if y'all understand what I'm saying. I did it, man. At the point, though, Chris, it had became so routine that I started building my own event planning business because I also became a certified meeting planner while I was on staff. Where I was doing multiple events. I was doing 14, 15 events at the church that the minimum was 1,500 people. So most of my conference had 3,000, 5,000 people in attendance.
Yeah.
That was the norm. And so I had about 500 volunteers, and I love that space. Well, I was leaving there to go to radio to work in the sales and sponsorship lane because it just seemed like a natural segue because in radio, the salesperson also throws events. They do events for that personality. And that was attracting me. I got there and I hated it, Chris. I hated it. Yeah. I hated it. They didn't do things like I thought. It almost felt like I didn't realize till you just said it, how innovative we were in production, that when I got out of there, I made a wrong assumption that people who got this other money just going to do production. And my level of production was so high that I had to retrain myself that, man, just because people got money don't mean they know how to do a production. They don't know how to produce a thing. They know how to throw an event. And so every time I thought of an event, Chris, because I was trained that way, it was, oh, you're doing a production. Not no event. An event to me is a production because that's all they ever was to me. I got there, then like that, end up doing my own personal thing, got hired to do some homecomings and small things like that. Ended up managing the anointed pay system for about a year or so. Did that. And then I was like, I had to go get a job, Chris. My wife said, I appreciate that, but you left the job to have money. Where the money, buddy? I went to work. I always said if I ever had to work again with somebody, I wanted to go to the airlines. And, man, I got hired by Delta Airlines. And I was 39 when I started. So with a kid that was just born in 2007, I got Delta 2009. From 2007, 2009, I was in the abyss of why'd you leave? So I was taking everything to the point where I even took a job that was $7.50. Didn't know God was using that, Chris. It was in a call center. And the position that opened up for Delta Airlines was a call center. Call center manager. I applied. I went from $7.50 to $9.82. I'll never forget it. I was so happy to have gone up $2.65. But guess what? I could fly anywhere I wanted to fly. It was right in the period where Delta was just coming out of their bankruptcy, rebranded, merged with Northwest Airlines, which then tied them to Air France and Alitalia, all that. Now they become the largest airline that goes to Europe. puts them extra business on them. So all 10 years I was at Delta, I was in overtime. So I never made my regular salary, Chris. I never knew what my regular check was. Because when they offered it, bro, I was in it.
Yeah.
In it to make a living. I learned that, learned some more corporate things, got corporately trained on that area, really loved it. It was around my 7th year that I just wasn't fulfilled. Yeah. And I wanted to go back to ministry full time. But this time when I went back, Chris, I did not want to be on staff. I didn't want to be on staff. I wanted to have my time freedom, which now you always hear me talk about my time freedom. So I wanted my time freedom. I went to a church I was visiting with a friend, and it was a hot July day, and they said, hey, don't leave too fast. Don't leave too fast. We got a treat for you. We got a treat for everyone at the church. Go out. The Kona ice truck is outside. So we go outside, Chris. This big old truck, all this animation on it. I'm standing in the line with maybe 400 people. And Chris, right there, I said, I know how I'm going to leave Delta Airlines. I'm going to sell snow cones for a living. Yes. And when I did that, I got to a place where I met James, my partner. And we were doing a gig at a park opening, a brand new park opening. They hired James to do the DJ services, and they parked my icy truck right next to him. Yeah. And Chris, he was jamming. Yeah. He was killing it. And I was in the window, doing my flamingo. I was in the window serving. So Stacy is in the window. Stacy, my wife. Stacy was in the window. I said, babe, you got to go in the window. I got to go meet this guy. Yeah. I go to James. I said, James. I said, excuse me, my name is Jon Shoats. Would you want a corner? He was like, no, man. I said, dude, you are killing it. James and his comment, man, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I said, man, we got to work together. We got to work together. And he was like, yeah. Give me your card. So I gave him the card. Then we happened to join the same chamber of commerce in the same county. Okay. I saw him at the meeting. I was like, oh, what's going on? He's like, hey, my name is Jane Green. I'm the owner of KBCN Media. I helped doing those. I was like, to myself, Chris, I was like, oh, I need to meet this dude because what James don't know is my background. Right. I'm trying to get him to work with the dude. Right. He couldn't pass. He couldn't tie together. He was like, ice. Okay. The last time I said, hey, man, I want to take you to breakfast. And we went to Cracker Barrel. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, ended up being a 3-hour conversation. Mm-hmm. He gave me the background about TV and how he went to Stillman, went to broadcasting school, was doing a radio station manager at 19 and all his history. And I started dropping my history. Yeah. And when it, like the people I know what I mentioned, but when you start doing it, James said internally, he was like, man, this dude name dropping. Like, right. He was like, all right. We're checking out of Cracker Barrel. And 2 of the people who still work at the church said, oh my God, John, we wish you were there. It ain't been the same you left. We don't get the artists that we used to. Everything I just told him. He said, man, I said, dude, God did that. He asked me I asked him, can I come to his radio? I went to the station. I kept coming. And then my business acumen jumped in. I said, James, I said, are you willing to make a change? Because his business was in business, but he wasn't profitable, Chris. Mm-hmm. At all. He was barely making enough for his wife would say, you can keep doing it. Yeah. I said, man, my gifting is helping people change their business model and paradigm. If you give me 90 days. Yeah. And then I said, but I'm going to have to tear this thing up. And he said, he told his wife, man, this man want to offer me 90 days, but he going to tear it. And that's kind of how it happened. He was teaching me that. At the same time, I was showing him Kona. So we work for each other now. I got into that space. He was doing a little bit of streaming, a little bit of podcasting, but I knew enough television after 14 years, Chris, how it looks, how they call the shots. So I started asking him, can I start producing and doing the format give a new format for the shows? That's how I started. And then we started picking up traction. People started looking, coming on. Then I started helping people with their concept. Pulling out their head, the envision, what they wanted to look like. I got into that, and then it just got stronger. And when the pandemic came, 2019, we were doing so every October we'll sit down and say, what do we want to be the following year? What does that look like? What has worked? What hasn't? And we still got 24-hour radio. People can click on that and download the app free, KBCN Radio. But that's this program. We're not really doing that. We got a morning drive and an afternoon, evening drive mix. Then we do, but this TV, the streaming got me into, I want to do TV. Yeah. And I want to give people who want to be on TV the opportunity. Yeah. I learned streaming. I understood now the K's or 4Ks, 5Ks, why the camera shots. So I brought all my expertise, as Coach Glenn would say, who we tie in with. I brought my zone of genius to match up because he's a tech guy, not really want to be in front of people. So I brought the sales in and the business development. So he graciously, I asked him one day, Chris, because at the time I owned my own event company called JMSA LLC. And I asked him, Chris, I said, hey, man, I think if we effectively do it, would you mind if I submit my talents under your brand? Yeah. He said, man, I'll be glad to. So I put my stuff to the side, and we together, and we merged, and it's been a good thing, man. Where I'm flamingo in here, he's chameleon and turtle. So that's his high, my high. So we got the whole disc across the top.
Yeah, good.
And that's kind of how we are, and it's been perfect. And he helps me understand. So when I talk with you, when I'm having the initial calls, I'm intelligent enough and I really understand it because I want to, so I can make the best decision. And that's how we've been fortunate, Chris, to have some great collaborations, man. Like our strategic partnership, not one has failed because I've learned how to really vet that out. Like, yeah, man, that's how I got it.
That's so crazy.
Here, and I would never thought that I will be getting paid to talk and help people bring their vision to pass. But it's possible.
So good. Yeah, that's so good. I'm listening to you and I'm like, I've heard pieces, right? I've heard the different pieces at different points, right? I don't think I ever heard it in that concise manner of like, hold on, what? you left that to do this and then it just, you selling ice and now you in media, like,
right, so ice is
like, this ain't even the faith-based podcast, but like, I gotta get on that, like the timing of how that worked out. Like, because you couldn't have planned that any better. You know what I mean?
Here's the
meeting up of how you guys even met. Like, that's crazy.
Right. So all this has been a faith walk now that I understand faith. Because back then I was going to church. I didn't understand the faith walk. But now when I look at it, so that's when I came to you. I talked to James. I said, James, I was listening to radio 92.9 FM is the sports station here. And I was listening to him, but Hugh Douglas, and I used to be like, want to see these guys. You're like, because Chris, they would make comments like, man, if y'all were here in the studio, y'all should see what we doing. I'd be like, I want to see.
You're like, show me.
Show me. So then they started doing the video. Yeah. And they went to 92.9fm.com. So I said, James, so then when Clubhouse was going, that's when Chris, I was like, said, James, why can't we show the people what we doing behind the scenes? Yeah. Like, how can we make that work? We just kept going, and we just about 90-something%. And they get to meet up with us soon. If this airs before the conference.
Yeah, this will be out before that.
Yeah, they'll get meet up with you and I. We got virtual tickets as well, but Chris will have all that. What I'm saying is, but we needed you though, man. Yeah. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not my need. As I'm niching down, I'm seeing that's not where I want to spend my time.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's so good. That's so good, man.
So the ice pays, that God used Kona Ice because remember my thing was I wanted to make money, less time.
Yep.
Well, he's increased the money with the short amount of time. So Kona Ice is that franchise that we're part of met all of our core values. We get to impact, inspire, influence. We make plenty of money with it, but it also allows me to do what I love. This right here, talking to you.
Yeah.
Doing media, this is what I love. That takes care of my family. And it's a product that won't stop because as long as God keep making his son, Chris.
Yeah.
And that heat.
They going with that ice, man.
And if the rain still produce water, I'm going to have some ice. And so it does well. And we've been able to give back almost over 60 something, almost $70,000 back to our local communities in this past 5 years that we've been in business.
Nice.
So,
man, that's so cool. That's so cool. It's so different. Like, that's why I appreciate the story, right? Because there's so many people that, because, so our audience is entrepreneurs, they're content creators, they're all that space. And so the fact that you were able to share the up, that it was the up, it was all great. That joker went down, but then it's back up. Like, man, that's so real. How many shows do you guys have on KBCN now? Look, that's the good face because he's like, man, I don't know, man. A good amount.
So it's 14 now.
Okay.
I'm probably cheap. It's 14 right now, Chris. We're in the process of onboarding 5 more.
Nice.
5 more. Talking Blind. The Coach's Corner comes on tonight. The Resilient Educator comes on tonight. Tonight, when y'all catch us, when we broadcast, it's Monday nights, 5 p.m. for the Resilient Educator, 7 p.m. for the Coach's Corner. Talking Blind is still to be determined, and a couple other ones that we have in the works that people are excited about coming on. The blessing of this whole thing, Chris, and when you was talking about the story, is though we do make money from this platform, because of Kona Ice, Chris, and the faith, I am not contingent on what money comes in through my media side. So I feel, and the client might feel differently, but I feel I am a little bit more laid back. I'm not as aggressive as I used to be when I used to do things because I am not depending on it for my family to survive. Yeah. And so I think the client, our customers, are getting a better experience. And also, Chris, from a creative standpoint, from our mind, I have a lot of free brain space to think and to conceptualize and to create, to add value to those who come in our space because I don't have that particular pressure. And it could be also that I'm 52, Chris, and I'm a little older, and I just slowed down. And so I heard people talk about being intentionality. And to be honest, Chris, I never understood how that played out in real life, like in space. But now I do. And my intentionality is helping people with affordable services, the opportunity to maybe realize a dream that they wanted to be on radio or television or both, and help them do it where it can work inside their budget. It's not cheap, it's affordable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we can pro-max it when we got to, but it's affordable. And we want people to have some skin in the game so they can give us what we need is their commitment. And so you can check us out, man, kbcnmedia.com. You can check us out at kbcntv.com. On my Instagram, I'm KBCN Media 360. On Facebook, I'm just Jon M. Shoats. You can see it here. And also on Facebook with KBCN Media. On on YouTube with KBCN Media. So all those things, we're consistent. You want to reach out on Clubhouse. You want to interview with us. You want to learn about it. We got a podcast course that we do once a month for 4 weeks. Just 1 hour a day, and we talk about how to get your mini podcast together in 5 to 7 minutes. You end up with a project, and if you finish with us, you get to air. We'll air some of your stuff on the network. And if you go through the program, of course, Chris, then they get a discounted rate for the first 3 months to encourage them to use what they just learned, and then they can come on. But yeah, man, that's what we doing. Every morning you can find me and you, man. Monday through Friday, golly, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Clubhouse app and KBCNTV.com and LinkedIn. We are authorized streamers there. You can join us for lessons learned. This has been phenomenal. This has been good. Nobody has really asked me my story. I only share the bits that really are relative. I only share parts that are relative to help really encourage the person that I'm helping, because let them know that they're not by themselves. But to be able to share that, that's a pretty good ride right there, man.
Hey, bro. And look, I want y'all to notice what just happened there, right? This what happened when you interview a professional. Because y'all see, I ain't even had to ask him. Because literally the next question was going to be, hey, where can they find you at? He gave y'all all that. So make sure y'all check the description below on the podcast. We'll have all of those links that he talked about. Look, dude, man, we can do this forever, man. I appreciate you taking the time out and having that conversation and being transparent and sharing what you shared today, man. Man. So good, man. We might have to have a part 2 to this.
Hey, Chris, and I was like, I'm hoping I can come back.
You guys make sure you check out the description down below. Make sure that you check Jon out everywhere. KBCN, check us out Monday through Friday. And then like he talked about, we'll be meeting up in October in the Virginia Beach area. This should be out before then, so you will see it and be able to get tickets if there's some left. If not, you'll be able to get virtual tickets. And so check that out. Jon, I appreciate you being a guest, and be happy to jump on. You guys have a good one.